Good afternoon. Well, I managed to solve my problem with my friend, and or as these things, at least right now, it seems to be settled. You never know. I had to drive out in the snow this morning, which was beautiful and looked serious, and it was supposed to be 10 inches. And it was a wet snow. And by the afternoon, when I got released from our discussions, there's no snow. You can see, you look at that trees, nothing on the trees. Pretty amazing, I think. So, what are the issues? Well, it seems to me the Democrats can't figure out their way, and the Republicans continue blundering along, being proven to do more terrible things, but nobody punishes them. And by the way, I started this talk a short time ago, and it was so cold that my phone stopped recording. So I don't know. If this cuts out, I may just send it as it is, okay? Now, the short form, and then maybe you can talk longer. The post-Pelosi rabble are anxious that next year there'll be a new leadership in the speakership. Well, yes, but it's very possible it could be Republican and not Pelosi and not any of the young Turks. And there are enough of the others that presumably it's not going to work out the way the insurgents would like. Isn't that the way? So, but the thing that befuddles me is why this talk is going on now when they haven't designed a way to beat the historical experience, which is in a midterm election, the party in power loses seats, and we have a very slim margin. So there's that concern, and we've had enough of Schumer banging away at Sinema and Manchin and getting nowhere on the question of social stimulus. So now we're finally going to address the principal issue we should have been addressing a year ago, which is about voting rights. But here's the problem. Schumer says that by Martin Luther King Day, we're going to have passed the bill. And, if we pass one that was revised in some way or other that would make a difference to the misconduct that's already occurred by the Republicans, I wonder if it would only apply prospectively, that is, after the date, as opposed to what had happened in the past. And if what happened in the past was unconstitutional, well, maybe we don't need a statute. So anyhow, that's my spitballing, as you say. And I'm concerned that the S&M gang, Sinema and Manchin, may do as much to destroy this as they have to destroy other things. I have two things that I think are favorable. It depends on what they do with it, You give them the ball and they run down the field and they spike it at the 4-yard line. Anything is possible. So what would be an example of that? We have in New York, the state AG is getting around to subpoenaing Trump Jr. and Ivanka. Well, what fun that is. And it is a civil proceeding, so they have problems about the Sixth Amendment. And this subpoena for documents, they're going to end up having to produce that, and I guess they're going to try to fight and delay. The question is this ever going to become a criminal case? And I have my doubts. The second thing that's kind of interesting is that we had Cheney, who's the vice chair of the January 6th committee, come out and say, we have a witness, reliable witness, who saw Ivanka begging with her dad to stop the action. And my view of what he was doing was he was willing to let it go on for 182 minutes or whatever the number is, because it seemed to be going his way. And when it didn't, he sounded the retreat because he wanted people out of town who might, who knows, give evidence. But who could count on the next administration investigating nada, nothing, not doing anything? Pretty terrible. And then there's I have a favorite peculiar story, which just show that we have this residual hate, discrimination. And this time it's a young Jewish man who's an athlete in Ohio. And the coach didn't like what he was doing. And so he leaned on him. And the way he leaned on him was that he wanted him to eat a pepperoni pizza on the floor of the gym while the rest of the team worked out. Now, you know, I don't think that's the way I've coached like a lot of us have. That's something I would never imagine doing. There are other ways to coach. You give people assignments, you see how they do, you talk to them alone. You know, in movies, they talk about notes. It takes aside the actor and say, maybe in the next scene you could do such and such. Well, it turned out the young man is Jewish, and he's fairly Orthodox, or he is Orthodox. And pepperoni is pork, and he can't eat pork. And so the coach took the pepperoni off the pizza and wanted him to eat it. And he said, well, you know, it was still on the pizza. And he was forced to eat it. He's now suing the bastards. They've lost their position, as they should. And now the coach is denying that he knew anything about the fact that he was Jewish or there were these religious dietary laws. Well, then why did he tell him to take the pepperoni off, for Christ's sake? Oh, excuse me, I did say Christ. And so, remember, Christ was a Jew when he was crucified. Remember that. And for 100 years afterwards, maybe. So, here we have it. One not so funny, ironic instance of anti-Semitism still today. And the Democrats in their own food fight and the Republicans being exposed. But the question is, will anybody be prosecuted? I'm now going to turn off the phone before it freezes again on me. And I'm glad to be in daylight. I've missed you guys. And but, you know, some things you have to do. And let's press on. This is an important week, and it's very important to see how those who are our soldiers in the battle, the politicians, the elected officials, let's see how they do. These guys will break your heart sometimes. Let's hope they don't this week. All the best. Bye-bye.